Hello ladies and gentlemen, Xcentauri here and welcome back to another YouTube video. Now I hope you're all doing well today because I am as always. Now if you're new here, please feel free to like and subscribe and just enjoy the content, okay? So today I'm going to be showing you guys some of the 3 easiest aircraft to land in infinite flight, okay? So the first aircraft we're going to be going for is the 787, alright? So it's a bit of a big aircraft. And it can be pretty hard to land sometimes if you're a bit heavy. So we're going to go straight to Doha, of course the home of the Qatari 787. And we're going to spawn on short final, and I'm just going to talk you guys through it as I do a landing, hopefully. And hopefully it'll be good. Now as soon as we do load in though, I'm going to have to cut the volume down to minimal. Otherwise you guys won't be able to hear my lovely loud voice. So we're going to do that. So the first thing we're going to do is quickly calibrate and pause, go to the menu. And I'm just going to bonk down these volumes. Very sorry about that if you're here to listen. So first thing I've realised is this plane is actually a bit heavy. So when we come into landing, we'll probably have a little bit less fuel, like an hour or so left instead of the 4. So we're at about 2 hours. And as you can see, there's that runway right in front of us. Oh, that was a weird voice break. So I find with the 787, one of the main benefits is you see the landing gear. It's tilted and you can see there's 4 bits of gear on each one. And where there's more than 4, it's just a little bit nicer, a little bit easier. Now there also is no live cockpit, so we are forced to use hub mode, but I suppose I can use this sort of hub mode for you all, so it looks a little bit more realistic, okay? So we did spawn with flaps down on 30, and I tend to use 12% trim. Now I know it's not much, but because I've always used 12, I'm so used to it, okay? Now I'm pretty sure the glide slope as well is the little diamond that we can see on the screen. So what it looks like I'm a little bit too high up actually for the ILS on this runway. But that's alright, that's okay, we're fine. And we should be able to see the puppy lights, but I don't see any, so I'm going to assume there aren't any on this one. And I find with the 787, it's not too hard to realign. So if I'm a little bit off course like I am right there, it's not too hard to get this HUD straight in the center line with the runway. And it looks like we are perfect with that glide slope right now. That is brilliant. Oh, now we're too low. That's okay. I don't mind coming in a bit too low because I've come in too low quite a few times before. Now we have got everything already. Our spoilers are around, and I didn't mean to do that. Now we're a little bit too high, but we're coming in nice and smooth, and we're going to start to get those call outs. So you won't be able to hear them, of course, because I've turned the volume down, but you get like, you know, the 400, 300, like those call outs. It's like 50, 40. So it's quite nice, and it's, as you can see, we're bang on with that center line here. Now, as we're getting a little bit lower, I will start to flare up, and hopefully we're going to put that HUD so we're looking right at the end of the runway, because that's where you want to look. You sort of want to look towards the end of your runway. So without these call-outs, it's a little bit harder for me to tell exactly what our altitude is with regards to the runway. So we've got a little bit of a float here, again, because I can't hear that call-out. And when you normally hear 10 or 20, on those GPWS callouts, that is your time. So there you go. We have touched the ground very smoothly there, and that was really smooth, really well with centerline, and we can just see on the exterior here of the aircraft, brilliant. So the 787 is quite a nice aircraft to land. I believe we're in a 787-9 at the moment, which again is one of the nicer aircraft of them all to land. So we've made it. And let's just go watch that in replay very quickly. So we're going to go straight to replays. You can see all of my lovely replays there very quickly if you're interested at seeing where I fly. Most of it is just short clips from where I'm getting stuff to get content for all of you guys. As I'm going on holiday very soon, because it's my birthday, so I've got to pre-record a lot of videos for you. So hopefully this replay is not going to take too long to load, and then we'll be good. So we're just going to wait on this replay. If a flight replays tend to take a while, here we go. So right, we're trying to follow it, and I will try and see if I can get a little bit of volume. Very quiet volume, very quiet. Hopefully you can all hear me. And look at the wing flex actually. Just admire that wing flex. That's crazy. So here we go. We're a little bit high, and this is where I got a little bit stuck with the float right there, and you can see like I couldn't quite tell the height of the aircraft without those call outs in the cockpit. And this float is nasty, but it should be a very nice smooth landing now. Here we go. Wow, lovely landing, and we have made it to the lovely Doha airport. Okay, so the next aircraft I'd like to say to you all. Now this one is an odd one. Okay, and I'm going to settle for the A350. Now, I was thinking about the A220, but we're going to stick for those aircraft with those sets of 4 landing gear on each gear. And what livery shall we go with? Emirates, why not? Let's use the Emirates livery, and we're going to go straight across to the lovely United Arab Emirates of Dubai. Lovely airport, this one, absolutely love it. I'm going to land with 30 left because that's the runway I normally land at when I head to Dubai. Obviously, regarding the weather conditions are all dependent on that. So hopefully, again, the same with the A380, it has a live cockpit. Now, I'm going to use HUD for this video just to prove my point that you can get a really nice smooth landing. And once you get well with that HUD and you've done it many times, you can get rid of the HUD mode and it should all be good. So again, I'm just going to think our weight should be a little bit less. I get about an hour's fuel, but probably would be a little bit heavier than that, I'd imagine. So there we go, we can already feel the extra weight. And we're going to go straight in the cockpit fuel, and I'm going to put the HUD on just so everyone can see what I mean. Now this one is a bit of a weird cockpit actually with the HUD, so I'm just going to bring our thing up here. No, do you know, I'll do it normally so you can all see. Now I find this aircraft a bit awkward, so when the HUD is actually below that little thing, the little weird green circle, it's just a little bit different, okay? So we're actually way too high right now for where we want to be, and we do have a little bit of crosswind. Now, you should have just heard the 1000 call out. Now, these are the call outs I was on about for the last landing, which make it a lot more difficult when doing it if you cannot hear them at all. So, hopefully, in theory, we should be able to get another smooth buttery landing. I'm just going to bring up that trim again to that lovely 12% that I like, as always. And watching that speed as well, you can see that on the left-hand side, I've been using the manual throttle. Generally I'd have the autopilot throttle on until about now, and we're still a little bit too low actually for the runway, but I'm content with our current altitude. We're now at 500 feet above ground level, and we've got to make a little few adjustments, but it shouldn't be too hard to get this A350 down on the ground on that center line, because literally the only job we have to do is to land this aircraft as well as we can and as nicely as we can. So need to prove the point that this is one of the easiest aircraft to land in infinite flight. So hopefully, if I now bring up the HUD a little bit, you can see that I've just simply set it to the old settings to look up just how I like it. There we go, we got the 50 call out.
30, 20, 10.
And then on 10, just gently pitch up the nose, a little bit of a float again. Very bad float, but I mean on the bright side, again, you very hardly felt the aircraft actually hit the ground. So I'm going to get rid of the reverse thrust, it's very loud actually. And we weren't too that bad for centerline as well. It's a little bit more awkward, I think, than the 787. But of course, hopefully, eventually, I'll be able to show you all how to do this. But I'm not confident enough landing like this to give you a lovely demo on that. But let's pop into replay mode once again, and let's just see how that one went and how we think it went. Because I felt like it was a pretty good landing. So hopefully, all in all, it was. So yeah. The A350, if you're using HUD, I find it a bit weird because you're looking down. But I don't know why Infinite Flight have changed it to that. They did it a few updates ago. I'd prefer if they turn it back, but I don't think they will. Yeah, they've just made it a little bit more awkward for us. So again, let's just go back a few seconds. Coming right above the runway here. Nice descent. Perfect. We're at good altitude here. Now what I wanted to do is we're a little bit to the right of the runway. So we're a little bit off centre line, but for a large aircraft it's not that bad. And then here we go, this is where we hit the little bit of a float once there. But look at that, ready? Oh, now that is a very smooth landing. If I do say so myself, that's probably one of the smoothest landings I've actually ever had in Infinite Flight. So that was a great success actually, that was very good. Now we're going to go on to the Butter Queen itself. Now this aircraft is a literal butter queen. We're going to go to Turkish Airlines and we're going to head out to LTFM Istanbul Airport, and this aircraft is pretty much a butter queen. Very few people struggle to butter with this. Now if you are someone who struggles with this, after you watch this clip of me landing it, hopefully you'll be able to sort of recreate it and you'll find it a little bit easier as well. So hopefully that will work for you all. So we're just going to spawn in at Istanbul Airport, and we're going to get a very smooth buttery landing with this A330-300. Now, I've not really found the A330-900 in in-foot flight as much, so I'm not too sure how good it is in comparison to the other aircraft. So, is in-foot flight going to let us load in? Here we go, brilliant. And I've just sorted out my calibration. I'm going to go straight again back to the weight and balance and just sort that out. Probably a little bit more extra weight on cargo, and we're going to feel that immediately. Now, this aircraft has a live cockpit, and I find this live cockpit is actually a little bit nicer to use than the other ones. So we're landing on runway 35 right, I think. I'm not too sure. But yet again, you can see we've got a glide slope enabled and everything is looking good. So we're just going to bring up our altitude a little bit because we are way below the glide slope for where we want to be. I'm going to bring up my trim back to the 12%. Okay, I'd recommend you use a little bit more trim than I am. But when I was younger playing in-foot flight, I always used 12%. And I don't see the point in adjusting that yet, not even for realistic purposes at the moment. So we can see those puppy lights as well, which is simply telling us it's the same thing as the glide slope, that we are way too low right now. So we've got them 2 red lights which we want to get rid of hopefully very soon, but again, we don't want to come in way too fast. So hopefully we'll be able to fix this very easily and soon. So I'm just going to pitch up right now that HUD a bit, and hopefully it will be a little bit easier for us to land. So we're still going to pitch up, and we are a little bit to the left of the runway now for my liking, a bit too far right. So these small adjustments are what I want to be making right now to make sure we're fully in line with that runway. Now you see I have moved the HUD up. You can literally do that by just moving your finger on the screen. This is so I can again hopefully get that lovely demo to show you all what I meant and how I prefer it. 200 call out that was. 100 feet.
50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
That 10 call out, pitch up, boom, and then we just keep that flare up nice and easy. Now again, the A330 I found that was very loud. The A330 a little bit harder of an aircraft to land compared to the A350 actually. Maybe the A350 is the new butter queen, but the A330 traditionally in in-flight flight has always been one of the easiest aircraft to butter. I've done a very good job at bringing that aircraft to a full stop. Now this aircraft is beautiful in itself, but let's go straight to replay mode. Let's have a look at that. Let's not waste any time, and let's just see how much better it is than the A350. Now I found personally, like I said, it was a bit easier to hold centerline than the A350. But maybe the landing wasn't as smooth, but again we didn't overshoot the landing like we did with the A350, because I've only done one attempt for all 3 landings, just to show you guys what I seriously mean by this. So hopefully we're going to load in and it's going to work very well and very nicely for us all. So I do think the A350 as well, probably one of the easiest aircraft to land in infinite flight. But there are some very hard aircraft to land in in-flight flight as well. Now I've also avoided general aviation aircraft because I find them hard to land, and I didn't really want to include them on the list. So I'm actually going to turn the volume off because it's a bit loud, and I want everyone to be able to hear me. So here we are coming in, and you can see that gear. Just look at the tilted gear, that is just amazing. And we're going to come down onto the runway. It's a bit nicer from this side of the view, and we perfect, we didn't look like we floated much, and there we go, that's when we hit the ground. Now that was a bit rougher than I thought. I mean, we could have easily had it a lot smoother, but again we kept that flare and we kept the aircraft in the air for a little bit longer than we could have. Okay, so those are the 3 easiest like big aircraft to land in infinite flight. Again, mainly due to what I mean by the 4 gear is that down here on the rear gear you've got 4 on each little stick, so I think that just makes it's just generally a bit easier to land. The ones that just have 2, like the 737, the A320s, they're a little bit harder, but you can get a smooth landing with them. Generally only using HUD. Like if you land like this, you can do it, but it's a lot harder, okay? So if you did enjoy this YouTube video, please feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next YouTube video. Good night.
Find your way into Cross the